Khan. You guys got to make a lot more noise than that because we have Joe Bob Briggs here.
We need to turn these speakers up to nuclear Wayne Newton.
Thank you. This is a cozy little group in the middle of a giant abandoned casino, so I'm happy to be here.
Yes, we get to have a little Q&A over the sound of air hockey and pinball. It's a very unique experience.
All right.
Thank you so much for taking the time. We'll start at the beginning if we could. I'll do some questions. I know you guys are dying to get in there too, so as soon as I see hands go up, we'll start calling them out. But before your writing career got started, you grew up in Little Rock, Arkansas, right?
Yeah, I was born in Dallas, grew up in West Texas and Little Rock, Arkansas, and started writing before it got started. That would have been when I was 12. But, you know, I started writing when I was 13, so.
So in Little Rock, was there a particular theater or a drive-in or a particular main source for movies?
Oh yeah, the Razorback Twin Drive-In in Little Rock was, my parents would go there every week. And there was me and my two little sisters, and so we would be in the back seat. So that was my first exposure to the drive-in, and the challenge was, the early movie at the drive-in was a G-rated movie, and the second movie was the adult movie. And so the goal was to stay awake, for the second movie, whereas the parents wanted us to fall asleep in the back seat. And my sisters never made it. I always made it.
Yes. This is like my version of staying up for late HBO films. You know? So then your writing career got started at Texas Monthly and Dallas Times Herald. How soon into your early writing days did you start to develop the Joe Bob character?
Well, actually, my writing, I started as a sports writer at the Arkansas Democrat when I was 13 years old. I was an apprentice copy boy, but for the sports department. But an apprentice copy boy at the cheap afternoon paper in Little Rock, Arkansas means that you write 10 articles a day. And so that's how I learned to write, actually, is writing, you know, for the afternoon paper. I don't even have afternoon papers anymore, but, you know, for the afternoon paper in Little Rock, Arkansas. So, and then I worked for various newspapers, and then Texas Monthly Magazine, and then I went back to the Dallas Times Herald, and it was at the Dallas Times Herald that I started reviewing exploitation movies at a time when exploitation movies were despised by the mainstream media. So to be doing that at a mainstream newspaper was dangerous in the extreme. I expected to be canceled every week. I was reviewing movies. It was called Joe Bob, the column was called Joe Bob Goes to the Drive-In, and I would have to actually go to the drive-in to watch the movies because the movies weren't screened for critics. They specifically did not screen the films for critics.
Oh, wow.
Until I befriended Roger Corman, and Roger Corman was the first guy who would allow he would screen them only for me. He wouldn't screen them for any other critic. But he would say, Joe Bob, I do have a release this coming Friday. If you'll go to this theater on Thursday morning and ask the owner of the theater to run the film for you, he will be happy to do so. And then you would ask Roger for you would ask some of these indie distributors for a still. You want a still to run with the review, you know? And so they would say, you know, talk to this guy, Vinny. He's at the Broadway theater. He's got the print. You know, tell him which scene you want a still of. Tell him stop the movie at that point, cut that frame out of the movie, splice it back together, give you that frame. That'll be your still for the movie. And they actually did that. So they would you know, just take a frame out of the movie. We would use it as the still in the paper, and then splice it back.
Wow, that's crazy. I can't believe that. That's insane. So, at what point did where did the idea for the Joe Bob character come from?
I I just wanted to be people hate film critics, you know, and I was not a film critic, I was a film fan, and so I wanted to have a film critic who reflected populist tastes, you know, and also I was doing the regular film criticism for the paper, and so I hated the Hollywood mainstream movies. I like the weird foreign films that came from Europe, you know, because let's face it, I'm in Dallas, Texas, you know, there's 10,000 foreign films, only one makes it to Dallas, Texas. It's probably going to be a pretty damn good movie, you know. And I like the exploitation films that would premiere at the drive-in. And so I would, you know, so I started writing about them, and I developed the drive-in totals I developed through conversations with Roger Corman, because I would say, Roger, you know, what are the essential, he loves to get theoretical. He loves to get theoretical about movies. So what are the essential elements of an exploitation film, Roger? Well, it's very interesting. You should ask that, Joe Bob. You know, I like to have at least one motor vehicle chase in each movie of a certain type, and he would tell me the type, you know, and that chase should occur between the 10-minute mark and the 20-minute mark of the film. And he was, you know, the ideal length of a film, Joe Bob, is 82 minutes. Because if you go to 84 minutes, or even 83 minutes, it requires 5 film cans. And therefore the cost of transporting the film around the country increases by 20%. So he had all these formulas for how to make the movie. And so that's how I developed the drive-in totals.